Good evening. Welcome back, Knicks fans. Leon Rose was interviewed by Alan Hahn, and we need to talk about it. First, we need to like this video. Let's subscribe to the channel. This is Civil Analytics for the Orange and Blue, and we want to get right into this talk right now. First thing I noticed about this interview was Leon Rose's demeanor, right? He was more expressive than usual. He was very excited about the young core as well. It kind of got me wondering, is Leon's expressiveness and excitement really about the young core's continued development, or is Leon just trying to sell us and maybe sell Dolan on his plan because this is his third year? Keep in mind, this third year for Leon Rose is following up a poor second season that happened last year, right? So some small part of you have to wonder, is this whole upbeat song and dance is really happening because his crew is pretty much sitting on hot plate, right? Is that what's happening here? On top of all that, Han did ask about the Donovan Mitchell trade saga. Leon managed to sidestep that because of he's not allowed to talk about players that are under contract. That's understandable. We've talked that to death, and that's we don't need to rehash that anymore. He did try to send a message that the team believes in RJ, although he was the centerpiece off that trade on the Knicks side. Leon also talked about how impressed he was with Walt Perrin's performance during the last few drafts. He talked a lot about Obi, Grimes, Miles, and Sims. He spoke at length about Obi because of his ability to take advantage of the minutes he received towards the end of last season. He was happy to resign Mitch. He said Mitch had a high ceiling. I also believe Mitch has a high ceiling, but Mitch needs to put in the work. Then Mitch needs to trust the work that he put in. We saw Mitch we saw Mitch put the ball on the floor once last season. It ended up being a nice highlight play that ended with a dunk. Everyone was pleasantly surprised to see Mitch put the ball on the floor and make that move. I always believed Mitch was a championship piece. I always believed Mitch is a championship piece. We will see how dominant Mitch is when we get into the playoffs. I think that's where we're going to really see the value of Mitchell Robinson. All the talk about Mitch and the young core shows Leon is giddy about all the young players. I agree with his optimism on the young players. Obi is athletic, he is efficient, makes great plays for his teammates, and he's a highlight machine. IQ had a great second half to end the last season. His ability to impact the game at the point guard position was comparable to Jalen Brunson's performance without Luka last year, especially during the regular season last year. Notice I said the regular season and not the playoffs, right? Leon also said that they were very pleased with Cam Reddish's training during the offseason. He said Cam was looking really good. So it makes you wonder, will Cam snatch somebody's position come the preseason, right? Or come during training camp. Leon said all the players had a clean slate and that there will be a battle when training camp begins this Tuesday. Now, this sounds like one or two starting positions could be up for grabs on this team. All right, so we're gonna move on. He also talked about Leon. Leon also talked about what made Jalen Brunson special. You know, he discussed Jalen's ability to win titles at every level. We do remember Jalen won state titles when he was in high school. He won two national titles in college, and he carried his team in the playoffs without Luka Magic. I mean, so that there's a lot to be said, especially with his performance at the college level, also in the NBA, especially without Luka in the playoffs. There's something to say about that. That was actually a very special performance he gave last year. I think Leon believes Jalen is a game changer at the point guard position. Leon could be right. Much of the analysis I did on Jalen shows that he was the engine of Mavs offense, especially when Luka missed 17 seasons last year. The correlation statistic for Jalen's net rating and the team's margin of victory and the Mavs' margin of victory suggests that the Mavs were way too heavily dependent on Jalen Brunson without Luka in the lineup. I hope that his ability to impact the game for the Mavs without Luka also translates and he's able to impact the game for the Knicks as well in the same way. We hope we're not going to be as heavily dependent on him as the Mavs were. We want to be able to basically spread the ball, move the ball around. We have a few guys that can dribble, pass, and shootish, I guess you would say. Some of the guys can pass a little bit and shoot a little bit, but we do have players like that. And so hopefully, if they can put it all together, we won't be as heavily dependent on Jalen Brunson, and it'll make our team a lot better. The offense is going to flow a lot better, and I think we're going to see much better team this year if that happens. Now, Leon talked about Julius's struggle from last year, and he said Julius was going to have a great season this year. It sounds like they're confident about Julius because Julius looks like he's in a hell of a shape. Julius looked like he dropped a lot of weight, and I agree Julius will have a bounce back season. It seems like he normally does. He normally has a bounce back season after like he has a bad year, right? And then on top of that, I believe he's going to have a bounce back season given the fact that he does not have to carry the same weight and pressure he carried on offense last year, especially with Jalen Brunson on the team right now. Rose also says Derrick Rose looks great, that he dropped a lot of weight, and now we're hearing, actually, Rose said himself that Rose is playing at the same weight that he played his rookie year. I mean, that is unbelievable, right? I mean, that's really great. I think the rest of the league is going to have to watch out for Derrick Rose this season. All this got me thinking, wow, all of this optimism from Leon Rose shows he really believes in his team. Look, I'm a sucker for the New York Knicks. If Rose is buying in, I'm going to buy in as well until the stats show me something different. Although teams, they change performances throughout the course of a season, they can change their play style during the course of a season. Uh, However, all those changes could happen throughout the course of a season, but we shouldn't have a pretty good idea what kind of team we have on our hands by game 20. I am buying Leon's optimism on the youth and the team's future because the stats does back up his optimism on IQ and OB. Grimes also looks really good. However, Grimes needs to just be a little more productive on offense with the minutes that he gets. Leon made it clear that only Tibbs decides who is going to play. Tibbs has always made that decision last season. He made it clear, and also Tibbs is going to make that decision going forward. However, he also said that they were not going to make excuses for last season's poor performance. In my opinion, this is the closest or the most critical Leon Rose is going to be about Tibbs until the wheels fall off, right? I think he is indirectly admitting Tibbs made some mistakes last year and he learned from it. And so, but with that said, I have to say Tibbs does an excellent job setting standards on how and also on what it takes to compete in this league. Tibbs is really good at that. That is why you constantly hear, every year, you hear that our young core spends constantly, they spend significant time with the coaching staffs in the off season. The last player that did not spend time with the coaching staff in the off season was Kevin Knox, and we all know what happened to Kevin Knox, right? So they have the right group of kids. They're talented, hardworking, and then you kind of mix it in with that kind of coach who sets that really high bar in terms of like them coming in during the off season and putting in the work, or even putting in the work during the course of a season. He sets that high bar, that high standard, right? And so it's a really good thing, and I think that kind of sets us up well for the future, especially with the young kids. You know, Look, I'm not on the Knicks coaching staff, like I said, but Tibbs is a very good development coach in the off season and also during the season. But the problem with Tibbs has always been his lack of flexibility during the course of a season. For instance, as Obi surpasses Julius as a player, will Tibbs recognize it and make the switch, or will Tibbs just stick to his guns like he always does, right? Look, I'm excited about this season, like Leon is. Analysis analysis suggests that the Knicks are probably going to win about 41 games with Jalen Brunson if the rest of the team plays as poorly as they did last year. So that's good news. That's actually good news for this team because we're hoping the returning players that the returning players perform better than they did last year. And if they do, we should win more than 41 games if they perform better than they performed last year. And it doesn't have to be huge leaps, right? We don't need them to become all-stars. We actually just need them to be a little more performance, right? I'm going to be optimistic about it and pray Julius and RJ shoot 44% or above. And if they do that, I think the Knicks are going to be better off. If RJ and Julius shoot 44% or better, I think the Knicks will probably win over 50 games. So I'm calling for 50 plus wins this year. I'm doing it. I'm jumping out of the plane, got the parachute, I'm ready to go. I feel a lot of our young players are going to put it together this season. That's why I'm so optimistic about it. And if it's truly a clean slate and Tibbs is not going to play favorites, I think some of the young core, they're going to break out and they're going to basically play some minutes. And the strength of this team is their core, because especially because the core is coming off the bench and they're very talented. It makes the team really deep, right? And you can tell they're going to break out this season because a lot of them, especially IQ and Obi, they ended last season playing with a lot more confidence. So you guys let me know what you think. What do you think about the young core? What do you think about Leon Rose's interview? Which young player or players do you think is going to break out this season? Comment below and I promise I will respond to every comment. Guys, this is Civil Analytics for the fans. As this video fades, please remember to show love. Please like this show and subscribe to the channel. And I will catch you guys in the next vid. Have a good night.